Hello, Plant Anglican family. I'm Carrie Loughran, the editor of Plant Anglican, and I just wanted to share with you a conversation that I had recently with Jean-Luc Sargent. He is the founder and the vicar of French Connect. It reaches out to one of France's largest cities, which is not actually in France. So to find out more about this church within a church and almost city within another country, please enjoy this coming interview with Jean-Luc Sargent.
I'd love to hear, how did the concept really get off the ground?
I'm the one who is leading the team, and it's been going for 3 years and a half now, and here in London in St Barnabas Church. So we are part of a bigger church. We are not just on our own, which is great actually, because we're not alone in that. And we started with a team, a core team of 7 people, and then it grew. We did the plant course, and we had an extended team of 25, 30, and then we launched in April 2018, 2 years before COVID hit, almost 2 years. But we had time then to really create a momentum, to bless the French community. So the vision is really, it's simple. You've heard that kind of vision around in London, but the vision is really to take part in the evangelization of French people in London and to take part in the revitalization of the church in France. So we're really focusing on French-speaking people in London, not only French people. You've got about 250,000 French-speaking people in London, and then a focus on France and how to bless the church there. So here we are. It's relatively new, and it's great. God is good.
What was that spark? What was that first?
So I'm married to Ginny. She's my wife. We're both French, and we were living in Paris since, let's say, the year 2000. And I was going to an Anglican church in Paris. So my home church is an Anglican church in Paris, an international English-speaking church in Paris. And I was a young student and then a young professional there. I was already Christian. That was my church. I was thriving there. And as I said, it's a particular church because they serve English-speaking people in Paris, for students, for expats, and so on. So and they launched a French-speaking service there, missionally, to reach out also to the French people in London, in Paris. So I guess I grew in that context where, and my calling grew more and more in contact with Alpha and HTB. So we had some links between the two churches, and regularly I would go to London for some conferences and Alpha, stuff like that. So I suppose the key point was when they did a leadership conference in 2011 in here in London. At the time, it wasn't yet at the Royal Albert Hall. It was still at HTB Brompton Road. And it's just that we received, my wife and I, at 2 different moments in different places, that we would be called to serve French-speaking people in London. So it started with a strong calling, a strong appeal. We were attracted to that, and at the time I had already started to explore ordination in the Church of England. So that was concomitant. So the rest is history, actually. So I had that passion to really serve French people in London, and then things have really developed over the years. And in 2017, even 2016, because here at St Barnabas, what is great is that we are a team. The vicar named Andy Buckler was also passionate about France with his family. They spent 17 years in France, helping the church there to really, being revitalized. And when he came here, so he moved back from Paris to London, and he took in charge St Barnabas here. and we knew each other from before. So, and discussion with the bishop. So everything was good. It was the kairos, the God's timing to create a bigger team and to launch something. So he asked me to do that, so I did that, and then people came along, and we drew a team. So that was the early years, really. The calling, the God timing, and God providing with the right space, the right timing, and the right people, and then we launched something, and here we are. 3 years after, 4 years after, 3.5 years after. So that was pretty much the story. It's a long story short, but
wow, that's great. I love that. And so you said that you focus not just on French people, but French speakers, so
Yes.
all the nations.
Yes.
And do you see like a real mix in terms of your congregation?
Yes, definitely. It's mainly French people from France, but then it's Swiss, African, Canadian, French Canadian, and also English people that love speaking in English, in French. So it's really diverse. It's really mixed, and we're still a tiny congregation. But also, what God has opened is the relationship with the church in France mainly.
Okay.
Because of Andy's previous job, he's got many networks there and connections, and because of the different connections we've got, so we are able as well to help and to support and to resource some corner of French churches, which is really a privilege, to be honest. And so that's also part of our DNA. It's for French people here in London, French-speaking people, but also, and it's really diverse, but also the church mainly in France to really resource and empower, send leaders, stuff like that.
Wow, I love that. And in terms of getting the word out and having exposure so that people actually know that you're there and that's a French-speaking option, how do you guys do that?
We did a lot of events, which then we trying to publicize. So the events were really around food. The next one is this one. We're doing raclette. If you're a French speaker, you know what is a raclette, une raclette, une fondue, une galette des rois, galette, everything around wine tasting. What we did, crêpe. So we did a lot of these kind of events, which would draw naturally the French speakers, but not only, Francophone people and stuff like that. And so we had more than 2,500 people going through the doors of our events since the launch of French Connect, which is amazing. So we started with all these meals, and 1% of the French population came through our doors, which is a lot, but at the same time, it's not a lot because we still have, the 99%. But at least we have had such a good connection, and we hope it's going to pick up again after COVID. And during COVID, we had to reinvent ourselves, as any churches, and we did a lot of online, which was really good as well. It was really interesting because then we were able to develop all sorts of things online, which we didn't have time before COVID, so which was really good actually. Our YouTube presence or Instagram or stuff like that. And it's word of mouth. It's people inviting people, and we'll see what's happening. But it's true that at the moment it's just the restart of everything, and we see how things are going to pick up. And with Brexit as well, with new ways of working for all people in London, it's interesting to see. What are the new challenges that we didn't have before, and how we're going to adapt that, but that is good. So we love eat. We love to eat. We love to drink. We love the tables, and it's creating a great sense of community. I think we are now starting to really be on the map of French-speaking people in London. They know that there is this weird church. They're doing a big raclette, but also they invite to Alpha, for example. Obviously, Alpha is at the core of what we do, because we believe that that's a great tool to encounter God, or to restart. Actually, French Connect, my motto is really about connection, you know, connect with God, connect with others, connect with ourselves. And Alpha is a great way. We did online Alpha during COVID. We are continuing online Alpha because we think it's a great way. And so God is good.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that.
With that, what God has opened is the possibility from here to bless France. In particular, we did that in 3 ways, I think. The first one was with songs, you know, UK Blessing. You remember these amazing songs, and also it was all across the world. But for the French version of the UK Blessing, we did it from London. We produced it. We gathered the French churches together, Catholics and Protestants and evangelical and
oh, that's amazing.
Whatever. And we financed that, and that was a great resource. And then my idea was to continue. So we did 2 other songs in the same way, one for Christmas, so a kind of a Christmas carols in French, and an Easter song last Easter in 2021. So we've created a momentum, and we are launching a new song. This time we've asked French composers to write a French song about the church, and they've been inspired by Revelation 4, you know, that praise hymn to Jesus and to God, and that eternal song actually. And we're going to have, God willing, the possibility this time to do a clip in the Sacré-Cœur of Paris. So I'm trying from here to have this thing, and we hope, so we reach 1 million views for the 3 first songs, which is really amazing. And that is a direct fruit of COVID in some ways, but also of the work of French Connect, because that was us that were, you know, lead on that. And the next one is going to be a great thing and a hit. So praise the Lord for that. Also, we're translating Bible in 1 year, the commentary of Nikki and Pippa Gamble. Maybe you know this app, you know, this meditation and devotional, into French. So it's also a big project, and we're going to hand it over to Alpha France when it's finished, because we just want to give it, and it's a big budget as well. You know, it's 10,000, 20,000 pounds to do that. And so this kind of project we can do from London, even if we are small. It's really paradoxical, is that because we are in that bigger ship that is St. Barnabas, which is, you know, HTB plant from 35 years, well established and very dynamic in many ways. I'm part of that church as well. You know, I'm associate vicar of St. Barnabas, so I'm involved as well in the life of the wider church. But because of that, we've been able to do a little bit of startup and doing things that were not only focused on Sunday and the reaching out, and we're doing that. We love to do that, and I want it to see, because the vision is hopefully, God willing, to multiply, to replant one day, perhaps in France, if it's possible. But at the moment, it seems that God has allowed us to shake the life of St. Barnabas in a positive way, with the events and all the people coming, and having a community life which is really, really strong. But at the same way, having an influence to France, mainly, and Francophone world, because Bible in 1 year will be in French, and that would it will be on the Bible in 1 year app, but then on Holy Bible app, and available for any French speaker in the world, which is really, really exciting. So pray for that, and that's the big project for 2022. And families as well. We really want to, because 5 o'clock, our service is at 5 o'clock in the afternoon every Sunday, which is more young professionals. So far, it's been young professionals. That's why we have had a lot of turnover, because, yeah, as we know, young professionals are quite mobile. They can work during COVID from France, from wherever they are. But focus is also on families, and there are many things in the pipe. But we're praying for more time, more workers, more opportunities. We'll see.
Wow. I was actually going to ask you, when you said about blessing the French church, I was going to say, what does that actually look like? And it sounds like what you're just saying, of the songs and the translation of the Bible in 1 year.
Yes.
Yeah,
and the third thing I forgot to say is the exchange of people, the leaders. So we have now interns here, French-speaking interns from Switzerland or from France, and we've got, because my aim is really to grow a new generation of leaders, and also we had, before COVID, we had groups coming, and we had the ideas of having a partnership, and we still have. So that vision also of just blessing the Francophone world with blessing through the leaders, the young generation.
Yeah, have you seen this done with other languages and nationalities and groups in London, like as inspiration or an example?
We've got connection because before 2-3 years ago with CMS, there were that group, Bishop, now Philip Monsteven in Cornwall, but before he was the head of CMS. I knew him from Paris because he was my vicar in Paris, Michael Church. And he put in place that group, best practice sharing group once every term with the Spanish-speaking congregation, Turkish-speaking congregation, Hindi, Tamil. So all sorts of languages, Italian. And so that was good. But in its own way, it was really different from one to the other. So since these stopped, and I don't have much more contact with the others, let's say language, because our model is really unique. I mean, it's not, how to say that, is the strength we've got is that it's not only me. Even if I started with saying I am the founder, it was my pride speaking, but actually it's more a team. And as you understood, Andy is his family actually. They're completely Francophile, and they're into it. The music worship leader comes from Switzerland. It originally comes from Mauritius, so he's completely bilingual for the whole church. But what I see is that actually I would love to see an Italian charismatic evangelical thing going on. There are so many Italians, 400,000 more, double than French people, and they're everywhere.
What would you say as advice for someone who's either someone or a group that's considering planting, but kind of in your way of planting a cultural, linguistic community within a different culture? Prayer, because of course, obviously, and calling. What I'm amazed at is the conjunction of what God has planted into different hearts and mind to reach out to this particular group, and our life stories and the prayers and the realization of that. So I would simply say that if someone is called to really reach out to a particular group, it's God's calling. Just trust that and pray that it will unfold and be fruitful. What I would say is also unity, because at the end of the day, what I'm just fascinated is that we're really serving God, of course, but also serving the French-speaking community, and at the end of the day, serving also the churches that are in France. Not trying to do a French Anglican in London, you know what I mean? We preaching the gospel, wanting them to connect to God through Jesus in the Spirit, and then bless the different churches, because these people, they come from either a Catholic background, Protestant background, or non-faith, or Muslim, and then they will, if they go back to France, if we don't plant a church in France, we can't. I'm not called to plant 1,000 church. I'm not sure that, but we know that we can help French churches as well to be revitalized, and so it's just that unity is because I think you have to work in partnership. And that's what we do at St. Barnabas. It's the biggest, bigger English-speaking parish, and we are supported by them, but we give back. We support, it's amazing what God has helped us to do as well. I didn't mention that, but we did 2 charity events for the persecuted church in French. And we had a good connection with an international French footballer in London, Olivier Giroud. So that was amazing. That was God, doing that. And he was able to give shirts
So we would do auctions, get money, give it back to persecuted church. So it's just that idea that if you are planting an ethnic or cultural church in London, I think you can't do it on your own, isolated. You need to do it in partnership, of course, with the countries where you come from, the churches there, the different links, and we've got a lot of links with the French businesses in London. You know, everything I do, for example, La Raclette, is because we've got the cheese half price from a guy who has his own business, you know, bringing food from France and stuff like that. So it's really about partnership, unity, and taking a risk, being creative, and prayer. I said that, but prayer is so essential. So yeah, I don't know what to say.
Wow, it's very inspiring. And I'm sure maybe there's some people today that might be challenged, or, you know, it might spark something off. Especially we were saying about that Italian community. That sounds awesome, but you never know what it could start. It could be someone that is in Buenos Aires that hears this and says, I should start an English-speaking community, you know, in a different context. But it's amazing what you've said and what you've shared. I love what you're doing.
Thank you, Carrie. Yeah.